Welcome, everybody, to episode 0 of Radiant Stories. I am so excited to finally be here, getting ready to tell a story, a journey through an actual book that I have been waiting for a while, Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lauren Urban. I'm the content coordinator over at Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. I do oboe stuff and TTRPG stuff on Twitter. And I am excited for us to be able to tell a lot of stories with the amazing people around me, who we're going to take a moment and introduce. This is sadly not the whole cast, but we've got a fair number of our cast here today to talk a little bit about the 12 episodes that are going to be coming up on Radiant Stories. So I'm just going to go around in the order that I see you on my screen. KP, would you introduce yourself, please?
Damn it. Okay.
I gotcha.
Yeah. No one likes to go first, Lauren.
I know.
That's okay. You're going second. Lauren went first.
Touche. Hello, everybody. My name is KP. I go by KP Living Studios on all of your social medias. And I do many things. I'm primarily a cosplay portrait photographer, but I also get the privilege of playing on games and telling wonderful stories with absolute talented people, just like the ones you see on screen right before you right now. But yeah, you can find me on, currently on all my shows are on hiatus, so you can't find me anywhere but Twitter. I practically live there, which is very unhealthy, but don't do that. But, that's what I do. So come check me out over there. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell for now.
Until next week.
Until next week.
There will be more, but we'll get to that in a moment. Jen, why don't you go next?
Sure. Hi, I am Jen Kretschmer. You can find me on Twitter as @DreamWisp. You can find me streaming on Twitch as DreamWisp Jen. I am part of the cast of Children of Erte and Vampire the Nightlife, and I'm very excited to be part of this. I'm an author. I worked on Candlekeep Mysteries for D&D. I've worked on Starfinder, Haunted West. I'm a disability consultant working with Skybound Games on The Walking Dead. And I do a bunch of other stuff. I'm an actor and producer too for TV stuff. But I love games, and I'm so excited to be part of this. I'm so excited for this book. And so I'm so thrilled to have an opportunity to get to play through it with all of you folks.
And I am so excited because we're excited about a book that the next person wrote on. Mario, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mario Ortegon. I am a writer, game designer. I do stream sometimes, though less often now. I realized that I stream mostly as a creative output, and now that my creative output is writing, I do it less and less. So, but yeah, I do sometimes stream in Spanish as well. I've written for Hunter the Reckoning, obviously Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, a couple other products that are not announced yet, and Arcadia. I've written a bunch for Arcadia as well. So yeah, you can find me, either on Twitter or on Twitch here. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. It's great to have all of you. And last but certainly not least, Alicia, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, everybody. I'm Alicia Marie, and I'm a professional costume artist and designer, and of course, an improv performing artist like Ms. Kretschmer. I star on Children of Erte on the Demiplane channel on Tuesdays, and coming up in August, I'll be playing Traveler RPG with a bunch of great people at Glass Cannon Pod. So a lot of you know me as I like comedy, so that'll be a lot of fun too. What am I excited about? Okay, Stream Elements is doing a better job of describing me than I am. So you can check that out too for anything else.
Where can people find you?
I'm like, yeah, you can find me at Alicia Marie Body on all socials. And Lauren asked us to tell a little bit about what we're excited about with this game. Obviously, this table, I know a lot about these people. I've played with 2 of them. I've never gotten to play with Lauren as a DM, so this should be really exciting. She's very expressive. I like that. And people, KP is just all over the place, amazing from her. So all of you, I'm really excited about. I'm also really excited to, for the first time ever, play a cleric.
Ooh.
And a grave domain cleric at that. So I've been wanting to play a grave domain cleric since Xanathar. So
I love it.
I is excited.
I love how Alicia is like, I'm going to get in the first news about the game. Here we are, going right for Grave Cleric. I have, oh yeah. Listen, I've got lots of fun questions to ask, but there's one other thing I need to quickly talk about because I know there's a lot of people in the chat right now who are from the wonderful world of Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. If you're looking for that Electrum chess code, go ahead and put !code into the chat and it'll pop up, and stick around and find out a little bit more about Radiant Stories. So I'm going to start real briefly, super briefly, with how this show came to be. Picture several months ago, this book gets announced. And like a lot of people, I was really excited about it because it sounded amazing. I specifically love books for TTRPGs in general and D&D in specific that have settings, that give me a place. I want a new place to dig into and have a fantasy world in. And so every time a setting book comes out and gives me new toys to play with and new places to go, I am over the moon. And so Radiant Citadel looks fantastic when it comes out. And I'm wondering, how do I play this? How do I stream this? How do I do something with this? And then Mario, who we have known each other for a while, and sadly had not had a chance to play with each other at all, tweets about an idea that he had about a stream full of people playing through Radiant Citadel, all 13 of the adventures, and then going on to go to space, and then maybe other places. And I messaged him very quickly, and I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. How do we do this?
Yeah.
And the two of us talked for a little bit and was like, well, putting together a live stream is hard. Putting together anything like this is an endeavor. And so that's when I started pitch documents and started talking to people. And the wonderful people here at NeverEnding said, that sounds like a really good idea. And, we happen to be working with a lot of these awesome people on the Radiant Citadel, for reasons which we will get to shortly. And so this would be a nice chance for us to bring some of those people back and bring some new people on and have a little bit of fun. So the 12 episodes that are going to be coming up starting next week are a chance to dig into the Radiant Citadel itself, which if you happen to be a member of D&D Beyond, you've already had the chance to see the first chapter of, and 2 of the adventures that are in that book. And one of the things that, and I think, Mario, you actually talked about this in your tweet, one of the hooks that got me so excited was the idea of taking some of these authors who'd written on the book and giving them a chance to play either in their own adventure or in another adventure. So with that very awkward transition, Mario, can you talk a little bit about your experience writing one of the adventures on the book and what you might be excited to see during this live stream?
Well, overall, I'm just super excited to be invited and have a place to play in, because obviously I made that tweet hoping someone would do this. Like, yes, do this, please, and invite me.
All the best ideas start that way. Trust me, I know.
Yep.
So yeah, I eventually once you mentioned that you were working on something, I was really hoping this was it, and it was. So yeah, it was super awesome. So yeah, working on the Radiant Citadel, it's been it's been some time that I've been really excited about what's happening with this book. I couldn't say anything. I remember very distinctly you and I having a conversation way before when I couldn't say anything, where I was like, I have something so cool, but I can't tell you.
That NDA life.
The Wizard's NDA life is real. You have to sit with that for like a year. It's really hard.
Yep. Also, I'm gonna break into your awesome story for a second. The overlay is having a moment because we actually have another one of our wonderful cast members has been able to join us. So bear with us as we get everything set up. But Mario, please continue about. Yeah, we had that. I remember that meeting and where you're like, I have a thing and I can't talk about the thing, but it's a super exciting thing. And we were super excited.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, once I can talk about it, we should connect again because it's super fun, and we did, and it's awesome. So, like working on it was super cool. It was a very just overall formative process of me sort of like transitioning from working on my own things. And kind of like I was already creating stuff for my streams. I was building a world called Exalva. I was running a game for it called Trece Albas in the official D&D channel. And that's all well and good. But, being brought to work on an official product and having to learn to work on a team environment and sort of like just collaborating and sticking to parameters and designed like documents, like all of that was super I guess informative, enlightening process for me, and kind of like help me sort of like springboard my career from like publishing to basically people who already liked my stuff, and just like working for greater products and just bigger products like Radiant Citadel, like Hunter, and yeah, I mean, the working with everyone involved was a dream. Ajit was super, influential in everything that was done with the book. We had a very sort of collaborative environment where we would publish what we were working on, get feedback from what we were doing from the other writers. There were times, obviously, when many of us were, I specifically was working on something that is inspired by post-colonial Mexico, and which is ended up being Sunsetland. And obviously, there was a little bit of worry, like how do we make the story about a post-colonial culture without focusing on the colonial on the colonists. So having the other writers sort of bounce that around and have that support was awesome, and I think it made for a very, very awesome book. And as you said, I think this is the first book, the first anthology at least, that WotC releases, that it's not just an anthology of adventures. It's literally a book of settings. It's like 15 settings in a book. Here are 15 settings. Here are some adventures for them, and it's super exciting. I'm the same as you. I'm like, give me places, give me, and this book has that, and it has a lot of that. So yeah, super excited.
Oh, yes. And I'm only slightly nervous about running your adventure on live stream, just a tiny little bit with you here. But you are actually going to be playing just a tiny little bit of pressure. But, that was half the fun of this whole idea. And you're going to get a chance to play on someone else's adventure who wrote on the book, Aaron, who's going to be joining us on stream, but could not be here today. And so I got to ask, what are you most excited about to play in this book? Not knowing a lot about the adventure. And if you can avoid spoilers, what about your adventure are you most excited to see get streamed?
Yeah, so about playing, I'm obviously very excited to play. Your idea of having us play on someone else's adventure was amazing because, while I am curious to see what other people do and how they play in my sort of like little sandbox, playing another sandbox is also like very exciting. So I get to play in God's Breath, which is the land that Aaron created. I am excited. I think I mentioned to you that I've never played a psionic character, and I want to play one this time. I think I haven't decided if it's a rogue or a fighter yet, but it's going to be one of those two. And yeah, I mean, I love like Aaron's adventure it has kind of like a some horror elements in it that that's totally my jam. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be spooked by what's happening in God's Breath. And about my adventure, it does have a little bit of that horror element to it, depending on which decisions that you choose to make. But I am super excited to see. It's a mystery, obviously, and it's something that is happening in the backdrop of a very big celebration, which is a homage to Real World's Day of the Dead. And one of the hooks of the adventure that like basically just right from the start of the adventure, it asks the characters like, are you going to San Citlan because you want to kind of like see someone that from your past or something like that? And that is something that I think can lend itself for like very kind of cool and deep role play moments, like asking do I have someone in my past that I want to talk to or commune with? I think that can lead to very just cool role play moments, and I'm excited to see how that pans out.
And I think that's half the joy, like we were talking about, sorry, of these adventures also being settings, is there is so much meat in them to grab from. The overarching story of this campaign is going to be one that goes back and forth between these two settings and these adventures and back to the Radiant Citadel. So that's my challenge, to tie everything together. But that's also one of the joys of having everybody here. Do we have the overlay that includes our latest guest? I'm just going to ask it. Yes. Because if we do, I will not so subtly transition to just let me know. One moment, and then I'm going to give a proper introduction to one of our other cast members. And
I can keep rattling about the book if you want.
No, listen, that wasn't rattling. This is amazing. Like, this is one of the reasons I was so excited about getting people who worked on this book on these shows and playing these games, because I think this is a rare treat that we get, is to have people who made a book, made a game, made an adventure, and get a chance to have fun in it. So I am not going to be nervous at all as we do that. But that's okay. So while we transition over to a different overlay, I'm going to quickly ask the rest of our cast. So when you were asked to join in on this show, the Radiant Citadel obviously is the big draw of it. What about the Radiant Citadel made you the most excited?
Free healthcare.
Oh, yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's an ideal.
Yeah.
That sounds like a utopia to me.
No, I mean, I think there are such incredible authors on this book, and I love that people we always bring ourselves to our writing, and I love that this is a book that really is highlighting that in a really incredible way that I don't think we've gotten to see enough of yet in tabletop games and especially in D&D. Like, I think we're getting to have these incredible authors come forward and tell stories that we haven't had these stories before. So new books are always exciting, but this one in particular, like, the worlds that are being created are so cool, and the stories within them are so innovative and engaging. And that's like, I mean, going to a night market and you know, finding stories in that, like that, it's so cool to have these as options in the canon now. And also any sort of like hub city, anything like Sigil, where you can use it as a base point and then pop in and out is really amazing.
Kind of just to elaborate on what Jen was saying about the setting and everything. As someone who, you know, whose background is POC, who's an immigrant, who's come from a different culture altogether, it's still very rare for us to see a lot of that POC perspective, that BIMPOC perspective in a lot of the medias that are out there, and to finally get a book that was like mostly, if not all, I believe, mostly created by people of color of that background, and bringing in their stories and their cultures and their perspectives, and making it not only just bringing it, because anybody can just bring this into the world, but it might not be accessible for other people and might not be something that allows those from the outside to be able to engage and learn and grow with that. So to be able to finally get a book that would allow not only myself to be able to play in it and enjoy and go, hey, look, that's what I grew up with. Those are stories or settings or concepts that I grew up with. But now I can then take that and share it with people who might not have had that opportunity, and explain it and take them into this world that was up till now just in my head, right? Or in several people like me it's in their head, but now it's out there. And that's, I think, the biggest draw for me in all of this. Like just the other day, one of the amazing people, Justice, is here, but he was talking about one of the characters, the Peri, which is an angel in our culture, got, he's talking about, and how that was now in this book. And I just was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Oh my God. Like, these are things that I heard all my life. And then just to see that, and then see not only that, but like how it's visualized and taking inspiration, like authentic inspiration from these various cultures, and not like washed up or diffused, not the word. Distorted? What's the word? Yeah, distorted. Watered down. Oh, exactly. It's just so exciting to me. So I think that's the big thing that I'm very, very excited about, for sure.
And
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lauren. I mean, I don't even know how to top what KP and Jen just said, but I mean, basically everything they said, but also it's just, I mean, the whole idea of the Citadel is just so mysterious. Like, I love the idea. Like, I pulled up the map right now, and I'm looking at the way the city is sort of centered around this giant diamond, and or gemstone. And the way they describe it is that it's a life-giving magic stone, but nobody knows why it changed color. Nobody knows why it shifts. Nobody knows anything. So that leads, like, it gives us like a great sort of platform to, like, you can build anything on top of that idea or story or whatever. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And like what Lauren said, how because it's brand new, you can kind of do what you want with it. And I love that, because I love role play. I love gameplay, but I also really love role play. So it'll be fun to see what all these people intend to do with their characters in the city.
Oh, yeah. And I will say, one of the other things I love about getting new stuff in either a setting or an adventure book that I haven't seen before is, being able to dive into something that I get to learn about. Like recently, I got to learn a lot more about the national dog of Mexico and how awesome it is. Oh. And I am super excited. But we have made our most recent guest wait a little too long. But Bashir, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hey, I am Bashir Gauss. I am a writer, cultural consultant, indie game designer, occasional performer on various actual plays. In the Sphere, I wrote the Tayyib Empire and the Beyond the Radiant Citadel section. That's just a kind of short location of an area outside of the larger write-ups for the other nations, more directly integrated into the Citadel and its narrative, which was an enormous amount of fun to do. Mario's talk at length about like the collaborative creative process, Ajit George's incredible work with this in making this project happen. And the Citadel itself is an Ajit George creation, and like his stuff's always great. I've got to read his writing before in professional contexts, and it's always a great time. Let's see. And then mine was based a lot on like the Mughal Empire, and on some level the kind of tales about like the end of the Old West, this period when individual heroes were becoming less important, and you're kind of out the other end of this big devastating war, and things are rebuilding, and infrastructure is kind of coming out to areas where it hadn't before. There's a kind of this recurring theme of like the coming of the railway, which has some of its own parallels, and it's a pretty brief description what you get of my stuff in the book, but it's something I really enjoyed, and those high-level societal write-ups are something I really enjoy doing in my work in the TTRPG space. I'm also, I'm also obviously performing in this, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just getting to play around in the Citadel itself, and I've got some a fun concept, I think, for it. I think that's.
Well, I will take your awesome transition and move to, if anyone does want to have a chance to tease a little bit about some of their characters, because some of you have already dropped a few hints. And Bashir, if you want to go ahead and tease a little bit, you don't have to say anything, or if you'd like to give a few hints about what people are going to see next week during episode 1.
Nobody wants to talk about their character?
Listen,
I'm hesitating. Everyone's like,
yeah.
I respect the air of mystery people want to give, so it's totally up to you.
I'll give 2 words. Cottagecore bard.
Funny.
That was literally a text I got from Jen. That was literally the text, was just cottagecore bard, and my response was yes.
So I don't have the character voice quite nailed down yet, but if you want a quick look at the sort of thing I'm going for, let's go with, look, buddies, I get it. You're from outside and all of your adventures end in some grand sword fight and like 50 people getting stabbed to death. That's not really how things work here. 99% of the time, it turns out it's some feud over gardening privileges or ruining someone's view of the lawn. And it ends with a stern talk and some community service and maybe a really expensive tree transplant. This isn't what we're gonna be doing here is going to be way outside the norm. And so I need you to keep the random mayhem and destruction to an absolute minimum.
I love that some of my players, we still have a couple more that are coming, but some of my players have now heard that speech because, trying to tell people not to commit random mayhem in a D&D game. I will say that touches, though, on one of the other things between you saying all of that and Jen's not really joking healthcare comment. That is one of the really cool things about the Radiant Citadel, is how much of an egalitarian society it is. The people there, when they come, are taken care of. You have people who, they have a place to live, they have food to eat, and they are taken care of with all the basic necessities. So as a DM, and also as a player, both the challenge and the exciting thing about that is there's a lot of other adventures that in a normal city setting would rely on crime, would rely on murder, would rely on a lot of that more violence to happen. And so coming at some of the adventures that we're looking at from a slightly different angle, where no, there's not a lot of violence that happens and it's way outside the norm, has been both challenging and rewarding. But now that I've said that, anyone else want to hint at their character a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the process because I do all of mine in the last panic moments of my life, and me just going, God, let's see what sticks here. Let's go. But I do have to say, if nothing else, if you've never seen any of my work or any of the characters I've ever played, I always try to take inspiration from Indian culture, primarily things like either my mythology or, which I guess you could consider it as modern mythology now, just because of the sheer ridiculousness of it, but Indian cinema. So if you watch anything that's Bollywood, there you go. The chaos that brings and all of the beautiness and wonderfulness that brings you, that's where I take that from. I'm just going to say that the name means small in Hindi. So it's a very like childish way of saying it too. So that's what I've got. He's a kobold, and I think I've settled on having him as a sorcerer. So he's going to be a little ball of fiery chaos, and it's going to be great.
Oh my goodness!
Sorry, Bashir, you're going to have a little ball of fiery chaos to have to deal with.
Because that's why when he was making that speech, I'm like, we're going to be best friends.
All right, Alicia, you've been bouncing about talking about your cleric. So grave cleric, huh?
Yes. And do you guys know anything about what I do? Is I love taking characters, and they have, every character in class has their like traditional idea of what you think they should do and be. I love creating that really smart barbarian, or that really sort of, I don't know, non-grassy sort of druid. Like I love doing that with characters. So I've only once played a cleric, and I played a war domain cleric for Champions of the Realm. That's the first time I've ever played a cleric before. And in Champions, we were really just fighting each other. So there was no like healing sort of the cleric thing. But I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to actually be able to contribute in a meaningful way in a game at some point in my life, okay? So,
because you do that every single Tuesday on a game that I play with you.
It's true.
I can say that from experience. Anyway, continue.
They're like, "Are we going to get rid of her soon? Please help." No. So I told Lauren that I wanted to play a cleric, and I've played in games with people who've played every single type of cleric. And when I first started reading about a grave domain cleric, the first thing I thought was, this is like another emo sort of cleric with like black feathers, black hair, sort of like, I'm here to raise the dead, but I don't want to do that. And Lauren was all for it. So she's a cleric, she heals, trust me, she's gonna have a big bag full of healing for all of you and stuff like that. But what I like about grave clerics that differs greatly from death clerics, that death domain clerics are all about the, death and undeads and stuff like that, whereas grave are more about respecting the cycle of life. So they're very compassionate, and they actually see undeads as like an abomination. So that's kind of like what I want to play with. And also, like, we're not going to like cosplay for this game, but we will be able to give very rich descriptions of what our characters look like. And through the artwork, you'll be able to see what we are. So it'll be, I don't want to give too much away about what she looks like, but I think you might find it kind of interesting, because it's not going to be your usual doom and gloom, grave cleric idea. So I'm very excited about this.
Nice.
Character.
I am very excited about all of these characters, and the little bits. The more that I know, and that is going to be even more fun to talk about and experience next week. The art you mentioned, that's one of the awesome things about us working with Be NeverEnding, is they have a lot of access to some amazing artists and people who have been working on a Kickstarter that I know has been talked about a little bit, that some of the people here on the screen have also worked on this Kickstarter. But I think if he's ready, we're going to be bringing on someone who can speak much more eloquently about the Kickstarter than I can. Jamie, are you there? I'm looking for a box. Are you there? I'm trying to summon someone and really.
Yeah, I was about to be like, are we about to have a seance? We're gonna have
Dan,
a
the
seance.
producer, is the one doing all the hard work. I'm just, going, hello. Oh, yes, there we go. Jamie, would you like to talk a little bit about the Kickstarter that is going to be happening pretty soon, that is tied in a few ways into the show?
Yeah. So wait, there's a Kickstarter going on? No, it's not going on yet, but it is going to go on soon. So my team and I have kind of come up with kind of a crazy idea, which ties in really well to the Radiant Citadel. And that is a book of diverse and inclusive NPCs. And all of these fantastic NPCs, like, they're written by fantastic people. So Mario is writing NPCs for us. Bashir wrote some NPCs for us. Jennifer wrote an NPC for us. It's fan-freaking-tastic. I'm super excited about it. Additionally, we have done something really unique, which is we have, paired. We've paired all of these NPCs with a professionally voice-acted monologue. So if you're at the table and you want to show off a really cool NPC, but you don't really want to do voices, which a lot of us don't want to do, but you kind of want to bring that engagement and enrichment and immersion to your table, well, you'll be able to pull out your phone or your tablet, or if you're playing on Roll20 or the Forge or someplace else, just hit a button, pull up an image of that NPC, and it will play the professional monologue, which kicks off kind of the interaction. It's really, really cool. All of them also come with BTT tokens and whatnot. Dan, can you show us either one of the promo images or the site, if you could? Because we built this kind of cool site It's kind of neat. I mean, I might have done it. I don't know. Sorry, I have a cat that is literally, hold on, everybody. Oh my gosh.
Demanding
It's
attention.
stuck to my legs.
Show
Look
us
at
the
this.
cat.
Listen,
Hey, the cat
Guys.
tags.
every good stream
great
has
cat.
technical difficulties and or a cat, and thus here we go.
Yeah,
The internet
so
has
doubly
been
good.
pleased.
The internet is happy.
The
Well,
gods of
he
the
was
internet.
clawing my leg for attention. So if we can pull up that awesome website, we created a site, Anansi Lives or Anansi Lives, stands kind of short for Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. And it gives you all of the information about this book. So you'll see that there's actually all of the VTT tokens, there's a voiceover app, there's tons of other stuff that comes with this. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I'm not doing a really good job. Oh, there's a book of settings as well. So yeah, Dan, go ahead and scroll. It's all good. There's a book of settings as well. And again, this book, we flipped the script. Probably 70% of our writers are BIMPOC or LGBTQ+. We brought on Jen and other folks as well who have different perspectives, including disability. We are really trying to make sure that we are breaking boundaries and breaking barriers with this book so that people can have really cool NPCs at their table that might not come in the adventure book. One other last thing to mention about this, that is an important part of this. These are not the Duke and the Bandit King. These are like the tavern server. They're street performers. They are the farmers. They're all of the regular folks that, again, the adventure books don't cover. So yeah, that's it. Go to the site, check it out, sign up on the Kickstarter. You'll be supporting some really fantastic writers, and you'll be helping us to do some more good work. And you're gonna get a killer book of NPCs. It's so good, so good. That's it. I'm gonna let you guys get back to the show.
Oh, man, that sounds so fun.
The
Yeah,
fact,
are there any questions or anything? Probably not. It's all live.
well, I'm definitely going to be asking for questions from the chat since we've got a couple of minutes left, and also if there was anything else that my awesome fellow cast members wanted to talk about in excitement for episode 1, and also I just love the fact that we have all of this synergy. I know that's a buzzword, but just bear with me here. Between like that Kickstarter and the Radiant Citadel and being able to put on the show, yes, I am super excited to maybe grab some of those NPCs from Anansi's and add those because yes, as a DM, that moment in where someone says, oh, I want to go talk to this random person that you didn't think was important, and to be able to have something to pull from that has someone, I could just open up the book and be like, this is a person that is wonderful, and I can just grab them, and now I don't have to be coming up with Bob all the time.
And also having the voices is always a really, even if you're not using the recorded versions of the monologues, which they're fantastic. I'm a little biased, but it's a great way to get inspiration and come up with new voices because it can get hard as a DM to keep coming up with new characters. And this, like the books, we did a stream with me and Erin and Cassandra, who's one of the other authors, and we talked about our NPCs, and the authors that are the NPCs that they've created are so delightful that by the end we were like, can we do a campaign together with these characters? They're just they're so much fun and they have so much life and they're opening up new worlds and realms and stories, as well as just being great quest givers and shop owners and whatever you need.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I'm excited to be pulling from 2 amazing books in order to have this adventure, to work on this adventure with all of you, because I've written some stuff, but I am one of those DMs who tries to craft a story with my players. The Radiant Citadel and the adventures we're going to go on might be slightly more contained than, say, the entire universe. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a Spelljammer yet, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens towards the end. But yes, if there is anyone in chat, and I do that because that's chat. Chat is over there. If anyone in chat has any questions about the campaign that's going to be happening or about the Kickstarter, you can go ahead and put those in chat and we'll be grabbing those. And was there anything else anyone wanted to mention about their characters for the Radiant Citadel? Or maybe if you wrote one of the NPCs for the Kickstarter, anything you wanted to maybe spoil about that?
Yeah, I want to hear more about that.
Mm.
Yeah, come on, bring it on. Let's go.
I've got a very fun bridge guard in the Anansi's Tapestry of Lives that I'm not going to give much beyond. He is extremely doomed. Just aggressively doomed.
Aggressively doomed.
I have never. That is
That's
a new
an
phrase
amazing.
for me.
I will save you, Bashir.
Well, it's not me that needs saving. It's this poor bridge guard.
It's like the universe is actively against him, not passively.
Open the book and that's the first thing I see is this guard is aggressively doomed. This is now my favorite guard. This guard may be aggressively doomed, but is now appearing everywhere in all of my campaigns. This is amazing.
Through the multiverse.
Must protect.
The doomed guard.
Protect.
It's an order of doomed guards.
Absolutely.
Wait, that guard is going to be the one that, you know, how every campaign, every team are going to come across that one enemy that they're going to fall in love with, and they're like, all right, you know what? No, just, you know, come along with us. We're going to protect you. You know, everybody has that goblin, that kobold, whoever that might be. It's now going to be this guard because he's aggressively doomed, apparently.
That's basically the goal. Right? My goal is that most NPCs should have the possibility of being that.
I love that.
Yeah. I also love that these NPCs are going to have those voices, the professionally acted voices, because also just being able to listen to all of that and get ideas for voices that aren't just Bob is going to be amazing. I am so looking forward to that. But I do wonder about an aggressively doomed guard. I don't know. Is this a sour, sad person, or are they aggressively happy to try to combat their doomed nature? I am excited to find out.
To elaborate, you'll have to read the book.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I love
it.
One thing I thought I thought it was very interesting when Alicia was talking about her character, because, you know, being a grave cleric and having that sort of view of the undead as an aberration. I mean, I think she's gonna have to confront that when she goes to San Citlan, and that's gonna be super interesting to see. I mean, what happens there.
Ooh,
Right, the house
That's
is
exciting.
That's right.
Yeah.
A future
drama.
thing.
I mean, I love it.
That's awesome. Oh, that's
absolutely.
so cool.
As a fellow cleric player who has also had to confront a also hatred for undead, but for different reasons, and deal with that in a fantasy world and where not all undead are bad. Yeah, it's a fun time. I'm looking forward to that.
I like stretching because I mean, I'm the ultimate martial class player. That's what I do. I like throwing big, heavy things and going smash. That's what I do. So for me to actually, you know, sign into a campaign to play someone that is a caster and I'm not frontline, you know, kicking someone's ass, I think it's going to be a challenge. And then the type of cleric specifically, I'm really excited to play. I mean, it's, in general, you guys are all like me, you've been playing for years. It's fun when like you start playing the other characters and relationships start developing from those characters and sort of like the back and forths. And it's a lot of fun to see it all develop. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm excited. So Lauren, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Just hearing like what we sort of put together for all of our characters so far. And even though we don't have Kelly here, from what we've talked about, in your head, do you sort of see like where this could possibly be going? Or are you just like, fly by the seat of the pants, let's go?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. So the fun thing about how much character building y'all have been doing and interactivity that you've been putting into these characters is, as a DM, being able to tap into that and offer some amazing hooks for all of you. There is a limited scope to the show, so I've only got 12 episodes to throw as much at you as possible. And I want to be able, like you were talking about, to let your characters grow and change so that maybe they grow and change in a way and where the thing that I was excited to throw at you, now maybe I got to do something else that makes a lot more sense. Maybe now there's a different interaction that has to happen. So when I talk about how I try to leave as much open as possible, even in a game and where like, hey, we're going to play this adventure or you're going to be on this citadel. It's stuff like that. It's stuff like your characters and what they do and how they change and where they go that they're the hooks for me both as a DM and also as a player. I'm the same with you. I love as a player having those interactive moments with my fellow players as their characters and digging into those characters and then their life as they change and their views as they change and things as, and sometimes it's not for the best. Sometimes bad things happen and you have to work through that. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. And I try not to set too much in stone because y'all have sledgehammers and I know you're going to use them and I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
These people definitely have sledgehammers for that one. You think we're going left? No. We're going over there instead.
But that's half the fun of DMing, right? Like I'm a classical musician by heart. I'm usually, and I've been trained to, here's a piece of paper, play what's on this piece of paper as close as possible. And learning how to be a DM, and that's something I'm still learning about. It's a never-ending cycle to learn more and be better at it, has been an exploration in jazz for me. It has been hey, I'm going to come to all of you with a melody and see what you do with it and see where it goes. And I can't just keep playing the same melody over and over again. That's going to get boring, but y'all are going to have your own flavors and your own takes and your own instruments and your own sledgehammers. So, and that's always my goal. So we'll see in the next 12 episodes how well I do.
I think as a writer of one of these adventures, that is one of the most exciting things for me, like seeing where that detour happens in my adventure and where it leads and how like players add to it and make it their own.
Yeah, seeing how people change it up from what you expected. Yeah. It's amazing. It's so cool.
And like I said, just slightly daunting when I know that the author is right over there.
I know.
Well, I'm going to be in a different adventure. So like,
but I know you and Aaron and Bashir and all the people who wrote these adventures and wrote on this book are very, very excellent writers who are very keen on offering an adventure framework that has all of the details that I as a DM need in order to tell a really cool story without it being a roadmap instead of it being a step-by-step A to B, B to C, C to D. That's what excites me about running those individual adventures that we're going to do is I know that I'm going to have a chance to improv my way through some stuff and still tell the story that's going to be in these adventures. And especially for a show like this, I think that's super important because each of these adventures are also, like we said, settings. They're new places to explore. They're new places that I'm learning a lot about, and I want to be able to honor and respect and then celebrate in all of their individual ways. And so being able to do that on the fly means I do a lot of reading. Like I said, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about a very specific dog.
So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and I'll just say it because that first chapter is out there. If you look at the list of the incarnates, there are some that on there that some people might not immediately recognize the name of what kind of creature they are. And I highly encourage you, go look those up because they're super cool. They're super cool. I know that Ruby Pangolin was out there all over the place. And yeah, I love a good pangolin, but look at that list. It's amazing. We only have a few minutes left. I think were there any other questions that came in or anything else someone wanted to talk about? Because we also have a trailer to play for something pretty exciting.
I was just gonna say, in terms of the way that you can use things as a springboard for finding stuff. I started digging into flower language, and so that's been like a huge piece of building out this character and learning about that stuff. And it's just one of the things that I love, and I think that this book is really, really fantastic for, is using games as an entryway to doing these rabbit hole deep dives on things you didn't necessarily know anything about or didn't know a lot about. And it's been really fun to get into that and then look at the story that's we have from the first chapter and start making connections to it.
And like, I think this is also something like that Mario mentioned at the very beginning, that this is a settings book. This is about world building. And when you have perspective from so many amazing, talented people, you're not just going in there to have adventure. You're going in there to experience this world and see the nuances and like sometimes just the day-to-day lives. Like Jen was mentioning, the night markets, like those are real things that I've experienced in growing up, and now seeing that there, like those small things that you don't really think about if you're not part of that culture or come from that. When you talked about the dog, that's a very common thing, but no one really knows about that unless you grew up in that culture. So having those moments of those small things, I feel just brings so much to the world. You don't need big bombastic moments to kind of showcase that world. It's those small things that sometimes just matter more.
Also, the way they're coming together in harmony. So much of the Radiant Citadel is about fusion and about, everyone kind of sort of coming together. And I love the descriptions of like the food and how the food is all vegetarian and how there are kimchi tacos and all sorts of amazing stuff. Like, and it adds so much depth and nuance to the flavors and the textures and the fabric of the universe that you're creating. So it's amazing for that.
It's about tingling all those five senses, right?
And because it's got that much variety and that fusion, that also, it's not just a joy for me, but it's a joy for all of you as players to be able to contribute to the world building. Because if you've got something in that you want to be able to have on the Radiant Citadel, well, it's a huge melting pot of all these awesome cultures and people who have come from all over the universe. Chances are they're going to have tater tots. They're going to have the thing that you want. So I love players being able to just improv something into the world with freedom. Not having to worry about, well, does this fit right here and is going to happen? So, yeah. There we go. That's what we're going to end on. We're going to end on food because food is just, if you know me, it's all about snacks and food. I want to thank all of the wonderful people who came onto this stream with me today. Thank you also for joining me on this adventure and trusting me with being your DM. Thank you to Jamie for jumping on to talk about the Kickstarter. Thank you everybody in chat for hanging out and talking about snacks and food. I see you all. I see you all. Stick around because we have a very special trailer that you can watch about the Kickstarter that's going to be coming up in just a moment. And then make sure you come back next week, Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific for episode 1 of Radiant Stories, where you're going to get to meet these characters and jump into this world and have some fun and have some snacks. But thank you for joining us. And remember, wherever you are in the universe, we hope we brought a little bit of joy from the Radiant Citadel to you.
In the beginning, the stories, they all belong to the Sky God. But the people who lived them, they lamented. For the people of all the worlds, they hungered for their own stories. And I hungered. So I planned, and I was clever, much more clever than the Sky God and all who hung on their words. I hung them on the tricky threads of my mischief. Now they say all stories are Anansi stories. That suits me. Yes, all stories are Anansi stories, but on occasion, I share them with the people. Today, I share them with you in Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. Anansi's Tapestry of Lives is a new tabletop role-playing game supplement filled with varied and various non-player characters to populate your game world. Created by Game Masters for Game Masters, Anansi's Tapestry of Lives is overflowing with NPC descriptions, details, and illustrations. The NPC voiceover app gives you access to professionally voice-acted introductory monologues for each and every NPC, along with all the NPC details on your phone or tablet. Virtual tabletop tokens for every NPC makes it easy to bring these beloved characters into play on Roll20, The Forge, or your other favorite VTT. For in-person play, Anansi's NPC cards are tarot-sized reference decks. Each card has the NPC image on one side and important details on the other. Anansi's Journal of Commonplaces provides you with richly detailed descriptions that typical adventure books don't cover. When your players stumble into the castle kitchen or are foraging in a wild berry patch up the road, you can describe the scene perfectly. Plus, you are prepared with hidden details should they search the area. All these tools make your life easier while enriching your gameplay experience. And you can get access to these and more by backing our Kickstarter campaign. Back us today to bring these tools to your table and bring your stories to life.